Hey guys. So, yeah, let's sit comfortably, as comfortably as you can, and let's close our eyes. And just initially, as you close the eyes, become aware of your breath. And let your body settle as you do that. So a little shrugging through the shoulders, maybe. Just a little movement in the seated position, just to notice, is there anywhere in your body will draw your attention? Maybe somewhere there you're holding tension, or you're feeling tightness, or just explore the body for a few moments. And then let your awareness go down to the pelvis or to what you're sitting on. That space that connects you to something solid beneath you, that connects you to what is supporting you here and now. And initially you just feel it in terms of the sensations that are there for you. And then we'll begin to breathe a little bit more deeply. Now we're breathing through our nose if that's available. And you imagine as you begin your inhale, you begin it at the base of your spine, and the inhalation draws the breath up along the spine, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then the exhalation allows the breath to cascade down the front of your body, all the way back down to that part of you connected to the brick or the cushion or the floor. So we create this kind of circuitry with the breath, imagining it's moving up our spine as we inhale and draping down the front of the body as we exhale. And we'll just stay with this for a few rounds of breath. And whatever else might be there for you, feelings, sensations, thoughts, the busy day that you've had, something that's going on for you in your life, whatever might be there is there. And we're just gently committing ourselves to focusing on the breath. Following the breath with your mind's eye. And then if it's possible to imagine that you're bringing the breath from somewhere deeper. So you're bringing the breath from the earth. So it starts, maybe you could even imagine it starts right down in the center of the earth. And you, as you inhale, pull it all the way up through the earth and up through the spine to the crown of your head. And the exhalation again lets the breath wash down the front of the body, cascade down the front of the body, and return all the way back down to the center of the earth. So we begin with this practice of anchoring ourselves. Few more of these deep visualizing breaths. And then after the next exhalation, we'll let the breath come back to its natural rhythm. Just staying aware of the breath, staying connected to the breath. So our practices are an opportunity for us to rebalance, to come back to a place of greater presence, so that we begin to observe our operating system, the intricacies of our being, of our incarnation, of how we move through the world, our internal workings from a more expansive perspective. So we're exploring meeting ourselves in different ways. And so often we get caught up in the ego perspective or the smaller perspective of ourselves and of the world. And in that space, it's so easy to become overwhelmed or to be in a reactive patterning, a protective patterning. And probably to some extent all of us have low-level protective mechanisms at play most of the time. And they can quite often stop us accessing that bigger perspective. And really being able to be with whatever might be going on for us or what might be going on in the world, particularly the difficult stuff, the suffering, the wounding, the grief. So we just slowly bring ourselves in the direction of opening to that greater perspective. So we're going to come onto our backs. So we're all going to bend our knees, have our 2 feet on the floor, feet are about hip distance apart. For a moment, as the feet hit the floor here, you just move the toes a little, just feel into the feet. Let the awareness be down there. And then spread the toes, and a gripping action with the toes. And just notice as the toes grip the floor, grip your mat, notice the work that happens obviously in the feet, but also up through the rest of the legs. Just noticing what's working. Notice if there's a disparity between the two sides, just to be aware of it. And however it is perfect. Now the toes are gripping, and without moving the feet, you're pulling them towards your hips, and then you're letting them relax. And then you're gripping without moving the feet, pulling them toward the hips, and then letting them relax. And just keep pulsing that. And this time, as you engage, maintain the engagement. So the toes are gripping, you're not moving your feet, but you're pulling them towards your hips. And as you're doing that, I want you to begin to press the buttocks down so the arch in the lower back feels like it's engaging or lifting or getting deeper. Now, if you get pain, you've got to back off a little, so you just got to find how deep you can go before you go too far, what's available. So the toes are gripping, the bum is pressing down. Now can you begin to press the back of the head down into the floor? And at the same time as you do that, can you slowly begin to tilt your chin away from your chest? So we want to open up the front of the throat a little bit more, and we want to create an arching through the back of the neck in the same way we're creating an arching through the lower back. Again, it's easy to go too far in any one direction, so you're trying to be sensitive to all of it. So the toes, the feet, the bum, the head, they're the main points connected to your mat now. Just sustaining a level of effort you can maintain. Can you get steady again with the breath? Can you notice the breath as you maintain this engagement? No part overworking, no part in pain. And then let things begin to soften. Let it all relax. So part of what this is doing is it's creating an engagement through the back chain, to the back of the body. And it's also creating a lengthening through the front of the body. Now for most of us, a lot of the time, the opposite is happening. So when the sympathetic nervous system and the protective mechanism in the body is overly active, it does the opposite. It disengages the back body and closes the front body. So we're doing the opposite through our practice. Just safely, slowly, sensitively. Grip at the toes without moving, pull the feet towards you. Now as you pull the feet towards you, get light in the heels. Some of you might even just lift the heels fractionally away from the floor. As the feet pull towards you, you press the bum down, you feel the arch in the lower back deepen. Again, we begin to press the back of the head into the floor, slowly tilting the chin away from the chest to open the front of the throat. Again, we're working within a sustainable level of engagement or effort. And then you just come back to the breath. As you breathe, could you focus the breath toward the back of the heart, back of the ribs? Soften your face, relax your jaw. Some of you will notice your belly rumbling, moving, because you're beginning to decompress the intestines. Just stay with the breath, a few more breaths. And then we let it all relax. Okay. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together. We're going to let the two knees drop apart. If this is painful, you don't do it. I want you to see, can you let the legs relax in this position? Sometimes putting a support underneath the thighs makes it a lot easier. And because the hip flexors tend to be quite tight, it can be a little sore here, so you'll definitely feel a stretch in the inner thighs. But I don't want it to be more than a stretch. I don't want it to be painful. And then in whatever position you're in, relax. Breathe. Okay, bring the two knees back. Slide the right leg out along the floor. Hold the back of the left thigh with the two hands. Okay, if you find it's too far to reach behind the thigh, use a towel or something behind the leg so you can hold it. Okay. First, the right leg, you make a tiny bend in the knee. You just lift the knee, let's say an inch off the floor. Now as you do that, I want you to press your right heel down into the floor, and without moving it, you're pulling it towards you. So very similar to the pose we did earlier. Now, again, just a level of effort you can sustain. Now the left leg, the one you're holding, you lift your shin until it's horizontal. You imagine your left foot is on a wall. Your toes are gripping the wall, just like we did when we were on the floor. And without moving your left leg, imagine you're trying to drag the foot down the wall. And at the same time, as we did before, can you press the bum down so you begin to find the arch in the lower back again. As you maintain that, can you take some deeper breaths into the ribs, into the armpits? Could you get broader in the shoulders? Could the back of the head also press into the floor? Could you tilt the chin a little further away from the chest? Can you maintain that as you take the leg you're holding upward toward the sky? So you're trying to keep engagement even as you move the leg. And then bend the knee again to bring the shin to horizontal. And then extend and bend. Now steadying the breath, you're working within, again, I won't say a comfortable range, but you're certainly not forcing. And then extend. And then as you extend, keep the leg there. Bring the right hand down onto your right thigh. Take your left hand to the inside of the left leg, so you're on the inner thigh. And I want you to push your left hand and leg together. In fact, push the two hands down into the legs. So you just build a little bit of resistance. Now, we're going to slowly take the left leg toward the left without letting the right side lift. So if you go too far, all the weight will drop over to your left side. You're not going that far. Just slow, 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 slow. Keep pushing, particularly the left-handed leg, into each other. Maintain the resistance. You might only go over a few inches. Drop the shoulders. Keep pressing the head down, jaw relaxed, forehead relaxed. Long, deep, expansive breaths into the rib cage. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to bring the leg back up now. Pause when the leg gets back up. Release the arms wide on the floor, and then bring the left leg over toward the right. So now you're rolling over onto the outer edge of the right hip. So the left leg moves toward being horizontal. Now I say it moves in that direction, it doesn't need to get down. It can stop wherever it feels like it's enough. Now wherever you're noticing tightness, tension in the body, imagine you could breathe right into that space. Bring the left leg up again, and then release it down so the two legs are extended, the two legs just relax, heavy on the earth. Bend the right knee, hold the back of the right thigh with the two hands. Little shrugging through the shoulders. So again, when we move our body, and particularly the remnants of the kind of protective alignment of the body, will tend to overwork particular areas, and it just becomes habit. We don't notice we're doing it. So what we're doing is paying attention now. Body relaxes, shoulders relax, as little effort as you can. Again, maybe you want to use something at the back of the leg to hold it, to make it a little easier to be here. Now we're going to focus on the foundation first. So the extended leg, tiny bend in that left knee, push the left heel down. So even the toes can kind of curl as if they were gripping a wall. It's the same kind of alignment we were working with. We lift the right shin to horizontal. We do the same work through the right leg. Foot imagining it's on a wall, pulling down the wall, pressing the bum down. See, can we find a particular tilting of the pelvis that creates and supports the arching of the lower back. Again, a level of effort we can maintain. Press the back of the head down, open the front of the throat a little. Now we're going to maintain that alignment of the spine, of the hips, and extend the right leg up and bend it to horizontal again. Just pulsing that. One more. This time keep the leg extended. Left hand on left thigh, right hand on the inner thigh, right leg. Push the right hand and leg together. Slow motion, right leg tilting right. Keeping the weight distributed through the two sides of the pelvis. So it's not the quantity of movement, but the quality of movement. And of course, it's easier for our mind to calculate quantity than quality. A few more breaths here. Keep pushing the hand and leg together. Maintain that engagement with the inner thigh. Okay, we'll bring the leg back through center. We'll take the arms wide, and we're bringing the right leg over to the left. And again, you're just breathing into whatever you're connecting to in the body, whatever you're feeling. Stay with the breath. Perfect. We're going to bring that leg all the way back up, and then again we release it down. We let the two legs relax, and we feel how has the experience of being in our body shifted as we do this work. Okay, let's bend the two knees. One and then the other. So we're going to cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Right ankle over the left thigh. First thing we're going to do is we're going to move the left foot and the hips over to the right a little, and we're going to drop the two legs over to the left. So we have the sole of the right foot on the floor, or the sole of the right foot facing the floor if it doesn't go all the way down. Either way, the right knee is more or less pointing upward toward the sky. You'll feel the tendency for it wanting to drop downward towards you, so you keep it pointing up. Now, if it's accessible, the left hand holds the right foot or the right ankle, if it feels accessible. If it feels like it's too far of a stretch, you don't bother going for it. Okay, very simple here. The top knee, the right knee, begins to tilt away from your body. And as it tilts away, you'll notice you're going to feel some holding in that right hip. So that's where the attention is asked to be now. The awareness. You're breathing into that space. Couple more breaths here. And then we let that top leg relax. Now, very simple. If you're holding the foot, you let go. You just lift that right foot over the left leg, and you just slowly bring yourself back to where you began. Two knees bent, 2 feet on the floor. Before we go to the second side, we just take a moment to feel, notice the difference in the two sides. And then we'll cross left ankle over the right thigh. We'll move the foot and the hips to the left, and we'll drop the two legs over to the right. Again, if it's accessible, the right hand can hold the left foot or the left ankle. We take our time, and then when you're ready, the top knee tilting away from you. Again, you're breathing into whatever tension you might be connected to or connecting to. So just giving ourselves the time to meet these tighter, locked up areas in our body. Okay, we'll soften, release that leg, release the hand, lift the left leg over the right leg, bring yourself back to center when you get there. Again, just to be still for a few moments. Okay, so we're going to take the right ankle over the left thigh one more time. Right ankle over the left thigh. Now you've got two options here. One is to do the pose that we've just done, which is a bit more accessible than the pose, the other option, but you can work out what suits or is available for you. We're going to bring the knees a little closer. We're going to hold the back of the left thigh with the two hands. So again, you might want to hold them with a towel or something if it feels like it's a little too far to go. And the first thing is you find the back of the leg, is just relax. And if you can't find it, if it feels too far away, you're doing the first pose that we just did. Okay. So the left shin horizontal, the 2 feet, imagine they're on a wall. Without moving the feet, you're trying to drag them down the wall. You'll notice as you get that engagement, there's mobility in the pelvis. You get a chance to press the bum down again like we've done already, and you're seeing, can you create either an arching of the lower back or a lightness in the lower back? Whatever feels accessible, trying to again find a level of effort you can sustain so you're not, it's not that it's easy, but you're not overworking. Now again, you're going to be connected to a tightness in that right hip. You're breathing into what you're meeting. If you feel like there's a little room to go a little bit further, you explore bringing the leg you're holding closer to you, but without flattening the lower back. So it'll come in easily if you flatten the lower back, but if you try to maintain the arch, you just explore what's available, what's possible. Now again, if you feel like there's still a little bit of give, as you're bringing that left leg in, the right forearm that's kind of on the inner thigh of the right leg, that's pressing the right leg away from you. And then can you come to a steady breath, long, deep, steady breath. So as one part is working and challenged, another part is emulating spaciousness. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the leg. Come on back, 2 feet on the floor. Again, as the feet come back to the floor, you just take a moment and you feel. Notice the feeling in the body. And then we'll cross left ankle over the right thigh. We'll hold the back of the left leg if that's available. Or again, you're doing the first version. The first thing is just breathe, settle as much as you can here. Lift the right shin to horizontal. That action through the feet of engaging and pulling downward. As you press the bum down and try to find the lightness or the arching in the lower back. Notice where the shoulders are. Are they really tight and hunched up? Is there any way of dropping them a little? Even though the arms are working, can you soften a little as you do this? And then you're exploring bringing the leg you're holding in and maybe pressing the left thigh away a little. And you're breathing. So you need to bring, your job is to bring the spaciousness into the contraction. It's like you remind these tighter spaces, these places that have defaulted toward binding, holding, contracting. You're reminding them there's another way of being. It's like we're continually reminding ourselves it's okay. You know, finding that part of us that can maintain that connected, spacious perspective. Easier said than done sometimes. Breathe. For 3, 2, and then for 1. Okay, we'll release 2 feet on the floor. Again, we're just going to pause for a few moments. Let's bring the soles of the feet together again. Let the 2 knees drop apart. Stay aware of your breath. We bring the 2 legs back up. So the 2 feet are hip distance again. Let's take the arms up toward the sky. We're going to wrap the arms around us. We're going to hug ourselves. You try to get the hands on the ribs rather than on the arms and shoulders. You try to find a bit of the rib cage, whatever you can, toward the sides of the ribs if that's possible. Okay. Now we're breathing through the nose, long, deep, steady breath, feeling the movement the breath creates through the hands, through the ribs. So really, in particular, I'm interested in the quality of expansion. Just feeling what it's like to move toward the fullest, most expanded version of that part of the body. So the hands and their sensitivity, the hands are what we use to feel the world around us. So they have a strong sensitivity. They're able to relay information really easily to the brain. So we can really get to feel the movement of the ribs, an area that we mightn't really tune into very much. So particularly these areas that tend to be a little contracted or a little protected, they'll have a dampened sensitivity. So that's one of the mechanisms of the sympathetic nervous system, is to create a kind of a cloaking or a sheathing, so we're not always aware that we're contracted or protected. And it's just a way in which the nervous system tries to help us just get on with it. So we're interested through our practice in really beginning to up and heal or revitalize that quality of awareness, that quality of sensitivity, so we feel more of the full body experience. And then we can address it. So if we can see it, if we can experience it, then we can address it. Okay. So we're going to take the two arms, we're going to stretch them straight up toward the sky. So we can look up and we can see the hands up above us. The hands are in a kind of a cup shape, as if you were holding two bowls. So the fingertips, the thumb tips would be on the ceiling if they were higher up. Before you stretch up through the fingers, I don't want you to stretch up, I want you to have the arms kind of straight but relaxed, so you can feel the shoulders drop down as you do that. I want you to breathe into the widest possible rib cage, the broadest shoulder that you can. And as the shoulders reach their broadest point, then I want you to stretch the fingers toward the sky, so they're actively trying to reach up to the ceiling. And then keeping that, open the arms a little wider. So imagine the arms are in a kind of a V shape. Okay, now you're still taking those long, deep breaths. You might feel that upper back area is broad and engaged. Now, the work we did already with the legs, the toes grip without moving the feet, you pull them towards you, you press the bum down, you create the arching of the lower back. At the same time, you're pressing the back of the head down, you tilt the chin away from the chest, a little opening the front of the throat. As you maintain that, I want you to take the arms over your head halfway toward the floor. Not all the way down, halfway. So they're still higher than the head. You're still stretching out through the arms. It's like they're stretching apart. And you're breathing, bum pressing down, toes gripping, head pressing down. You might even be able to lift the upper back off the floor a little as you do that. Keep extending out through the arms. Breathe 5. Face soft, jaw soft. 4. 3. 2. 1. Everything softens, release through the arms down, let the hands rest on the tummy or the ribs, let the elbows relax down, let the legs relax. Just pause here for a moment. Notice the breath. So again, these are positions just to encourage more uniformed tone through the body, a more uniform engagement through the body, which will encourage a movement of energy that's more even, more balanced. Clearing the way. Okay, one more time. Arms gently extended up toward the sky, hands in that kind of cup position. If you think about it, like if you make the kind of cup shape of the hands, and then, it's mimicking the same action through the feet where the toes grip. It's like the fingers are kind of have a clawing action, which creates a tone through the hands. Now breathe into the ribs, widen the ribs. And as you feel the ribs move to their broadest, then extend up through the arms, and we're going to open the arms up a little bit more again. Work with the feet again, pull the feet towards you, press the bum down, press the back of the head down, open the front of the throat, let the arms extend over the head again, not all the way down, so to keep them slightly elevated. Extend out through the arms. So the arms are helping the shoulders broaden and widen as well as they extend out. Keep the engagement. Breathe, long, deep, steady breath. Relax the face and jaw. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we let it all go. Bring the hands back onto the belly, let the arms release, let the soles of the feet together, let the two knees go wide again, just pausing, softening, feeling. Notice your breath. Perfect. Let's bring the two knees back. Okay, let's roll over to the side and we'll come all the way up onto hands and knees. All the way up into all fours. Okay, now when you get onto hands and knees, close the eyes, just begin to move a little in this position. Let the hips sway, let the shoulders shrug, just nice and simple, whatever way the body kind of wants to move here. Lower back belly relaxed if you can, so that'll naturally create that arching of the lower back. Now the lower back is used to overworking quite often, particularly certain areas of it, so you might notice that as a soreness or a deep contraction. You can breathe into those spaces to encourage an expansion again, an opening. So we're looking for two qualities through the spine. One is the curvature of the spine, in the same way that nature is full of curves. There's no straight lines in nature, so that our spine is designed to work with its curves. But we're also looking for decompression, for space, length. Feel into the fingers, that gripping action in this position. So the fingers are broad, but you claw through the fingers, which anchors the tips of the fingers and thumbs, but also can you intently press down through the base of the fingers. Now, it's not easy to do because it employs more of the muscle through the hand and through the arm, but it's a more balanced engagement. Bend the elbows a couple of inches to the sides of the room, and as you do that without moving, pull the hands toward each other, Notice how that changes the engagement again. Can you maintain that as best you can as you push the hands down to re-straighten the arms? Now you continue to press. Very same thing we did when we were on our backs a moment ago. And the hands were stretching to the sky, now they're stretching to the earth. Breathe and broaden the back. Press the earth away. Front of the throat open, so we're looking for the same kind of curvature and positioning as we had when we were on our backs. Lower back relaxes. Without moving, press the knees away from each other, just to notice that feeling of widening in the pelvis. Now long deep breaths with all that work. Without moving the hands, you're still pulling them toward each other. You're also pulling them now toward the knees. Long deep breaths. 5. 4. 3. 2. And then stay in the position but soften a little. Okay, very simple. Left leg goes back, straight back, horizontal. And then bring the leg down. Right leg goes back. And bring it down. Left leg goes back. Bring it down. Right leg goes back. And down. Left leg back. Deep expanding breath into the ribs. So we want to create as much buoyancy in the body as we can. 2 hands are working. Right arm goes forward. You need to be really stable in that left arm. And then bring them both down. Right leg back. Left arm forward. So part of it is obviously wobbling, possibly falling over, but sure, that's life. And we bring them down. First side again. Left leg back, right arm forward. Really work that bottom hand, feel it engaged. Even the top hand has that engagement, that clawing engagement that we had on the floor. And then bring them down, second side one more time. Leg, then arm. And then we bring them down. Okay, one more. This time left leg back. Come up onto the left fingertips. And then can you take the left arm forward? It's a little trickier. You need to work out how to distribute the weight. So you might even lift the left side a little higher to do that. If nothing else, you'll feel a little humble. And then we'll bring it down. Little sway. Anytime the body goes through any sort of challenge or any sort of difficult experience, and this goes for any experience, it's a good idea to take a moment to very intently decompress. Just to kind of sway, shrug, breathe, just to release tension. Our nervous system's not used to doing this, particularly the sympathetic nervous system. It does the opposite. It just locks stuff away. We build up the tension. Second side, right leg back. We come up into the right fingertips. And you might just play with lifting the fingertips just a millimeter off the floor. Or you might take the arm forward. That's it, you got it. Nice, and then we'll bring it down. And again, let the hips sway a little, let the shoulders shrug. And then when you're ready, we're going to come down onto the forearms, interlace the fingers. Okay. So we walk the elbows right in together. Bring the elbows right in together. So the forearms may be touching or close together. You notice that broadening in the upper back and the shoulder blades. I want you to actively press the forearms down. Now don't drop your head. So, again, we're looking for the same positions that we've had before. So if the floor was at your back, you'd be pressing the the back of the head into the floor, front of the throat would be open. See if you can work out what that might look like. Lower back belly dropping, melting, without moving legs, knees pressing apart. Breathe into that broadness of the back and shoulders now. Breathe into that space, like what's the fullest you can get in that upper back area. So you really know what it feels like to be at that point of fullness. And then this experience of fullness through the body becomes a metaphor for our experience of fullness as beings. You know, what is it like to feel ourselves as full beings? It is one of the invitations of the solstice. How do we access that quality of light within ourselves, that point at which we feel to be at our fullest expression? Now, we're going to stay in that upper back broad space, but we're going to separate the elbows to under the shoulders again, so they're shoulder distance. So you actually need to do a little bit more work to stay that active in the upper back. And again, without moving anything, as if you're trying to drag the knees toward the elbows, or the elbows toward the knees. So you build a little bit of resistance there. You might notice it as a stretch in the belly. Knees are still pressing apart. Breathe into the tightness, breathe into the tightness. Soften the jaw. Breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we maintain the general form, but we soften. Release the hands, come back up onto the hands, all the way up onto the knees, and let's take the left leg forward. Left leg forward. Okay, we're going to walk that left ankle slightly forward to the left knee. First thing we're going to do is notice the breath. Gaze is forward if that's possible. Now, you could have a support beside you if you feel like you might need that. You spread the toes, and particularly interested in the back foot, to pay attention to the unseen part. So you're pressing the toenails and the top of the back foot into the floor, and as you push the back foot down, notice how it creates engagement through the back leg. Try to maintain that as you let the hips and the front knee sink forward. Now, if something is painful, pause. Don't go into the pain. And you just incrementally go to whatever feels available this evening, today. Breathe. As if you could breathe right into any of the tension, any of the holding. Now, if your back knee is sensitive, if it's sore, you can either pat it or you press the top of the back foot down with even more strength. Okay, just a few more breaths here. Okay, so we're going to come back. I'm going to take that leg back and the other one forward. Same position. Take your time, let the gaze be forward. Just take your time, work into the back foot. Now, quite often the tendency with the back foot is for it to sickle, meaning the outer ankle kind of collapses outwards, and that left big toe will kind of tilt into the right. So stretch back through the big toe. So you try to feel a real lengthening through the big toe, which should create a sense of engagement of the outer ankle. So can you feel that? It's important because it aligns the two bones of the lower leg as they connect into both the ankle and knee joint. Spread the toes, press the toes and the top of the foot down. And then in your own time we begin to sink forward. Stay with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing. Okay, so let's bring the hips back. Let's take the two legs back. Okay, with the two legs back, for a moment just close the eyes, let the arms release, so you're doing as little as you can just to be here on the knees. Notice the breath. Okay, stay here, take the hands to hold the ribs. So you hold the lower ribs, the thumbs will be at the back and the fingers at the front. And then like we did earlier when we wrap the arms around our ribs, we begin to take slow, deep breaths and feel the movement of the ribs through the hands. As you continue to breathe in this way, can you create a movement through the ribs that feels even? So the whole of the rib cage is moving as one piece. And then when you feel the ribs are at their fullest and the hands can kind of squeeze the ribs and the ribs can press out into the hands, lift the ribs upward. Like pull one side up and then the other side, just lift them away from the hips. So you feel it decompress, stretch the belly and the sides and the lower back. Just explore what's available. Stay with the breath. Okay, and then we soften for a moment, release the hands. Let's take the left leg forward again, same position. Spread the toes, feel the 2 feet, in particular again the back foot. Now before we bring the hips forward, we're going to hold the ribs again. We're going to fill the ribs, fill them up, lift them up, gaze forward, and then try to maintain that buoyancy, that lift as you bring the hips forward again. Now in particular, you'll need to breathe into the lower back ribs. That's going to be the most contracted part of it. So you're trying to send the breath, you're trying to maintain that fullness in particular. Front ribs, you'll notice, will easily open. Back ribs, lift them up. And then again, wherever you're noticing the bulk of the tightness, you're breathing into that space. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll come back and release 2 legs back for a moment again. Let's just take a pause. Notice the body, notice the feeling in the body. What feels different, what feels new, what feels lighter. Perfect. Okay, open the eyes, second side. So we place the feet, we feel into the feet, and then working the feet, anchoring them into the earth is about our commitment, our capacity to support ourselves. And in that there is a connection to something bigger. Okay, we go to the ribs, we hold the ribs, we fill the ribs. Fill and lift the ribs, lift, 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 lift. And then we begin to bring the hips forward again, trying to maintain particularly again the back ribs, the fullness in the back ribs. Breathe for 5. For 4. For 3. For 2. For 1. And then we'll come on back again. Okay, and again as you step back, just take a moment. Soften, relax, breathe, notice. Okay, let's go first side again. Left leg forward, last time. Spread the toes, feel the feet. Take the hands to the ribs. Feel and lift the ribs up, lift, lift, lift. That's it, let's let the hips sink forward to whatever feels available. Notice each time there's a little bit more give, a little bit more space. Now, we're trying to keep the fullness in the ribs, and then maintaining that, we're going to take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, and then bring the elbows in toward each other. Okay? Now, again, breathe and expand the ribs. Even a little shrugging in the shoulders with the idea of lifting the ribs. Press the head back, tilt the elbows up. Go to what feels available. Keep breathing into those lower back ribs. You're still trying to expand that space. It's almost like you're moving in 2 directions simultaneously. Keep working through the back foot. Breathe for 5, 4, for 3, soften the face, for 2, 1, and we'll come back again, release the hands, step back, just pause and feel. Perfect. Second side, last time. Okay, we place the feet. We go to the ribs. Feet are working. Ribs are full. Ribs are lifted. Gaze is forward. Keep full in the back ribs as you sink the hips forward. Go to interlace the fingers. Now, if you can, you interlace them the other way. So one finger was dominant the first time. You see if you can swap it. Bring the elbows in. Again, before you go into any extension, try to fill the back ribs, shrug a little through the shoulders, press the head back into the hands, tilt the elbows up, opening it up even more. So the game is you don't want to overly shut the back just to open the front. You want to stay full in the back. 5, 4, 3, feet super steady. 2, 1. And then again we release. Perfect. Step back, come down onto the hands and knees. Breathe. Just let the hips sway. Let the shoulders shrug. Just really gentle movement, simple. Be with the breath. Okay, bring the two legs over to the left. We're going to lower the hips down to the right. We're going to come down onto the right shoulder and then all the way over onto our backs. On your back one more time, knees are bent, soles of the feet together, two knees wide. Two hands to the lower belly. Be with your breath. Soften. Extend the left leg out and then extend the right leg out. Feet stay wider than the hips. And we'll take the arms a little bit away from the torso, and if it's comfortable you let the palms face up toward the sky. And we'll do 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And really exaggerate those exhalations. Everything sinking down into the mat. Without moving, just to notice your breath. The same breath that has been breathed since the beginning of time, that moves through our body and moves through all bodies, connecting and binding us. And when we pay attention to the breath, it reminds us who we are. It brings us somewhere deep. sacred duty of being an individual is to gradually learn how to live so as to awaken the eternal within you. The sacred duty of being an individual is to gradually learn how to live so as to awaken the eternal within you. Our ways of belonging in the world should never be restricted to or fixated on one kind of belonging that remains stagnant. If you listen to the voices of your own longing, they will constantly call you to diverse styles of belonging, which are new and energetic and mirror the complexity of your life as you deepen and intensify your presence on earth. Take your time as you take some deeper breaths, as you stretch in whatever way feels good to stretch in. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, roll over to the right side. Just get comfortable there on the right. Be close to your breath. And then bring yourself up to sit. So we'll close the eyes for a moment. The closing of the eyes is a remedial practice, a remedial meditation technique. It supports us moving into the parts of ourselves that we so often and so easily will get pulled out of in the world. So we just look inward for a moment. And if we could look deep enough into inner space, we would see what connects and binds all of us. So often, we look into the world and we see what is different. And there are many people who will celebrate that, recognizing it's part of this expression of life. And then there are the ones that have no connection, no awareness of that deeper space, that see the difference as a threat. And maybe that's true of all of us to some extent, that the sympathetic nervous system, which blocks us from dropping into that deeper place within ourselves, that is designed to thrive on fear, thinking that it's keeping us safe, but really jarring us within ourselves, creating the drama, the stories, and the suffering. But then becomes also the invitation for each of us to explore this inner world, to acknowledge what it is to be human and the limitations of this experience, the challenges of our lives. And to take these moments to just pause and feel and notice and acknowledge. And I believe the older we get, the wiser we become, the more we recognize that our joy, that knowing our joy deeply requires us to know our sorrow deeply. That they are two sides of one coin. We bring our hands together. We bring the hands in front of the heart. And the invitation of our practice is to come to this space of the heart, this place within ourselves that can transmute, that can understand the whole spectrum of our experience as human beings, that allows us to feel it all so deeply and so honestly. So may our practice today bring us to this space of the heart. May it allow us to access this place, to live this moment from this space, to ourselves and to each other. We bow. Namaste. Good work.